Hi Internet, as a follow-up to our last upload, we'll go through it in this series to study how we made some of the effects. Today's tutorial will be on creating shifting text. You can use this for your titles or text for dramatic effect. When used with appropriate sound input, this is a really engaging effect. I'll show this tutorial in both Apple's Motion 5 and Adobe's After Effects. However, this tutorial is not a comparison between the two, but merely shows the different workflows. Whenever possible, we'll follow this format in future tutorials to cater to a broader audience. I'll also include timestamps below for the two methods for quicker reference. Please do consider subscribing so we can grow this new channel, and also liking this video if you have learned anything from it. So let's get to it. This effect that we're creating today is made up of two parts: static text and shifting text. The most important things to pay attention to when creating this effect is number one, the text. Make sure you choose text that will clearly show the changing text. So in our case, the static text will be regular, whilst the shifting text will be bold. The second thing to pay attention to is text alignment. You have to align the two parts for a fuller aesthetic feel, so we will use guides to help us do that. We will start our tutorial in Motion 5. So let's open Motion 5. In terms of our settings, we are going to use 29.97 frames per second. Our project will have a 5-second duration. Here we are in Motion 5. We'll start with putting up our text. We'll start. This will be our static text. Change the appearance to black. Then we'll pull up our guides. Let's pull up our guides to assist us. This is static text. Now we have to come up with our shifting text. So we'll go back to text. I hope this is how it appears in the video, but the effect will still be the same. So we want to come here and change our text. We want to make sure that our text is bold so that it's different to our static text. And the appearance, we also want to make it black. So we can align our text. Let's align our text properly. That is our text aligned. That looks very pleasing. So what we'll do next is to put the two texts into groups. Putting it into groups will assist us in making the masking effect later. So what we'll do is we'll take this out onto a different group, and we'll call this shifting text. Let's call this shifting text, and let's call this static text. The next part is to keyframe. We'll move 5 frames into our effect and keyframe that position. Then move a second further and keyframe that position. Then moving half a second to shift that text upwards so that we now view limits. We'll move to the new position. Try to line it up properly. Then we'll have a viewing for a further second. And we'll keyframe that position. Having done that, we have to move to the new position. That will take us a further half a second, and we shift up our text. Then we view that text for a second. So we move our playhead to that position. Also, then we keyframe. So the next point is on masking, so that we can only view particular text at a time. So what we'll do is we'll come here to the group and we'll have a rectangular mask. What we'll do is we'll draw a rectangular mask, paying particular attention to our text and saying, having done that, let's see the effect that we have. That's done. So this is the effect that we have come up with. So we'll have to do the same effect in After Effects. So here we are in After Effects. I've already created the composition with the static text and shifting text. It has the same properties as the Motion 5 document that we prepared earlier. As you can see from the composition settings, it's got the same frame rate as well as the same duration of 5 seconds. The first thing to do as we create our animation for shifting text is to move away from the starting position. So we'll create our first keyframe at that point. Then we keyframe our position. We're going to have a viewing period of a second. Therefore, it means we're going to go to the next keyframe, which is 1 second further, and keyframe that position. We're going to have a shifting period of half a second. So we're going to move a further half a second. The next keyframe will go on that position, and we're going to shift our text upwards so that we can view limits and align it properly. Then we're going to have a viewing period of 1 second. And keyframe that position as well. Like before, we're going to have a shifting period of half a second. So we're going to move along and keyframe at 3 or 5 and move that text upwards. So we'll be viewing assumptions. Let's line that properly. Then we're going to have a viewing period of a second and keyframe that position. We want to ease in, ease out all the keyframes. After that, we have to create our mask layer by way of creating a new shape layer. We double click, then we go to the properties and transform that shape layer. Let's uncouple that scale and bring it down. We want to bring it down to such an extent that it will cover one layer. Let's change the position. We also want to change the opacity so that we can see where it is covering. That should be good enough. So let's take back the opacity to 100%. Then we use the track matte now to create the mask. We go back to the shifting text layer and have alpha matte shape layer. So we have created a mask on the shift text. If we play that through, that is the effect that we have created. So that is how this effect is done in both Motion 5 and After Effects. Of course, you can substitute the text with other pictures or shapes to come up with really interesting effects. Leave a comment down below on the different uses we can come up with. Please do consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Until the next video, keep creating.